Welcome to Living Vividly, the podcast where health, wellness, and curiosity collide. I'm Jackie, the founder of Vivid Health and Wellness, your guide on this journey to living your happiest and healthiest life. I'll be joined by some amazing co-hosts who bring their expertise and energy to every conversation. First up, we've got Daphne, our unconventional yet totally brilliant registered dietitian who's never afraid to shake up your approach to food. Then there's Dr. Mary Beth Moss, a physical therapist with a special passion for helping dancers move better and live better, no matter what stage of life they're in. And of course, we can't forget our trusty producer, Dustin, who helps keep everything running smoothly behind the scenes. We'll be having informative and engaging conversations with health and wellness pros, plus everyday people who've got incredible stories of their own health journeys. Whether you're looking to fuel your body better, move with ease, or just learn how to thrive in this crazy world, we're here to help you do it, all while living vividly. So let's dive in. Welcome back to Living Vividly. Today, we're diving into a topic that affects us all, our home environment and how it affects our mental well-being. We're joined today by Ruby Aguillon.
Yes, close.
I didn't take Spanish. I'm super white girl. Sorry. But okay. I got close. Dear friend of mine, and probably someone who has helped my mental health more than any professional mental health expert out there. My housekeeper and organization expert. And of course, Daphne.
Yeah. Welcome, Ruby.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here and I'm so ready. I cannot wait to just share all of the little and big things for such a big impact for everybody.
Yeah. So we typically wouldn't think about the organization of our home and how that leads to efficiency, productivity, that sort of thing. But certainly clutter. So it's not necessarily cleanliness as much as it is clutter and kind of cleaning out the clutter of the house, right?
Oh, correct. That's why I always inform, and I just like to gently remind everybody that in order to have a clean space, you have to first start with letting go. And that's where some people they have this very long-term relationship with some things that were either given to them or they spent $500 on this bag. And over time, it's like sentimental value to them. But you have it and it's taking up space, or it's just there and you're kind of looking at it. And as you go with life, other things come and they pile up. And before you know it, you're kind of surrounding yourself in an environment where you're you cannot process correctly, or you just don't have time for everything else. And I think that's why it's very important to just not only stay on top of things with cleaning your home and your lifestyle, but just starting off small. And that's why I always tell people first, let's let go. And it's going to be hard because, sometimes people are well, my friend that, is no longer living here gave me that. I'm I know, but you haven't used it.
Yeah,
you just
so
have to be
if
nice.
Not using something, then perhaps you shouldn't have it anymore.
Correct.
I think that's a habit that we're all really bad about. Ruby gently reminds me often, can we please purge this random closet this week? And it's true. Whenever you have so much stuff, the stuff has you. And it truly does affect our ability to think clearly. And personally, I am cranky when there's stuff everywhere.
Yeah, there's a psychology to clutter or to declutter. When there's a lot of stuff or a lot of clutter or hoarding or whatever term you want to use, it can overload your brain because it's a visual representation that there are things that need to be done. There's also an element of guilt that you should be doing something different than what you are, or embarrassment that you have too much stuff. The space doesn't look the way that you want it to, or the way you would expect it to, or the way that you think someone else would expect it to look. So there's an element of embarrassment that can go along with it. But the clutter it's also a way to procrastinate. So you spend so much mental energy kind of wondering what you should do with something, how you should do something, what to do with the stuff, that it keeps you from being able to focus your mental energy towards something that is more useful and productive.
Oh, of course. I think another way of also like you were just bouncing off of what you're saying is it takes up a lot of our time. like emotionally, but also you can't give that time to what needs. Like
Right.
if you have like 5,000 forks and there's only you and your husband, like why do you have 5,000 forks, you know? Or like
Are you talking to me?
Ironically, one day I was looking in another drawer and my husband hid a bunch of our forks because we had too many.
Yes, which is the start. Like if you can hide something away from yourself or like just rotate and you're noticing that you're not grabbing towards it frequently or you just kind of forget about it, it's time to let it go.
Yeah.
And that just goes into steps of how you can slowly get rid of things. And I believe that just starting off small can go a long way and it'll help you in the long run. And before you know it, your children will never know that that puzzle that you bought them 5 years ago that y'all were going to do together just never, like, they would never know that you got rid of it and sent it to Goodwill.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important because that gives us time to not only give that time to our family, to our mental health, but it gives us the ability to just make wiser choices and decisions in that time. And decluttering is definitely the first step, and you're gonna feel so much better. And once you like let go of the little things, you're like, okay, now I want to do the whole house.
Yeah.
You know,
So
I'd like to like talk a little bit about the attachment that we have to things. So there have been a few times in my life where I didn't really have the choice, but things were decluttered for me. We lived in New Orleans during Hurricane Katrina, and so we lived in a raised house. I don't want to make this all about that, but we didn't lose our entire house, but we lost everything that was in our basement. So things were just kind of wiped away. I didn't really get the chance to say, you know, if it was something that I wanted or not. But also, and my parents' house flooded in the 2016 flood. And so literally everything was wiped out. So we didn't really get the chance to declutter, but it was definitely, both of those times were reminders of the physical things that we have that take up space in our life that we would not miss if they were no longer there. So certainly we lost, in both of those instances, lost things that we would really want to have, like pictures and like some sentimental things for my grandmother and things like that. But when it was all gone and you get the opportunity to start from scratch, then it really kind of puts into perspective, what do I really need? Not what do I want, but what do I need to be able to thrive and be productive and be efficient with my day or my time, you know? So we have an attachment to things.
Yeah. It's a freeing feeling too when you realize that, man, I can really do with a lot less than what I have.
Right.
Because we do. Like, we're such a consumer society and we just have to have the new gadget and my kids have to have the new toy, and we don't need that. That's not bringing joy into our lives necessarily.
That's so true. I feel like a lot of people now, it's like the same thing, but like a different color or a newer version, or this one has sparkles in it, or this one has the pink bows, you know? And just making sure that you remember, like, is this something that I truly need? Asking yourself, making sure, like, for example, you have it, if you have it at your house, like, okay, let me not buy this right now, but if I come back to it and I'm still thinking about it, or you add it to your cart and you're like, okay, I can go without it, then just delete it. You know, little steps go a very long way. And it's very important to, like, I always suggest even having like a body doubling, like talk to your friend, like tell her, hey, like I just saw this, and maybe they can also, oh my gosh, I'm doing the same exact thing, like I'm trying to get rid of stuff. And making sure you have like that partner or friend, and they can also like hold you accountable, because sometimes you're like late at night scrolling and buying things you just don't need.
So that brings up a really good point. Back in the day, when we didn't have the option to just purchase things at will, we consumed a whole lot less. Like there wasn't necessarily the desire, because we're talking about, if you're looking at something at night and you're scrolling through purchasing things, chances are those are wants and not needs. But we haven't always had the opportunity to pick and choose what we want at any time of the day at the fingertips of our phone. You know, we used to have to actually go out and look for something. And if you went to the first store and they didn't have the color or the sparkle that you wanted, then you had to go to another store. So it was much more time consuming to be able to get things versus now you can literally have things at your doorstep within a day.
Yeah.
I mean, you can, you don't even have to leave. You can Herkle-Durkle all you want.
Yes.
Our favorite word.
And order things just in a moment's notice. And, just as a fleeting thought, it's not really something that you really needed. It's just a want in the moment.
I've done that so many times.
Herkle-Durkled?
If that's what that means, yes. No, but like even to the point of like as a child, my parents would bring me to a store and that was the store. If it wasn't there, you wouldn't even go to another store to look for it.
Right.
You just, here are the 3 pants that you can choose from.
Right.
If they fit, they fit, whatever. It doesn't matter if there's more comfy ones out there. And it's just that store. And yeah, Herkle-Durkling happens a lot.
Yeah.
I think we're changing the definition of Herkle-Durkle.
Slowly, just whatever you want it to be.
Yeah, Herkle is anything.
Yeah.
What was it originally?
Herkle-Durkling is whenever you're just lounging in the morning instead of getting up and doing something, you just kind of lounge around.
Oh, I do that every day too.
I remember when we got catalogs. Like I'm not that old, but like I do remember when it's like the Sears catalog and whatever the other places were. And it was just a variety of stuff. It wasn't just toys. It was home stuff and sheets.
All kinds, anything you needed.
I find my kids, and that's what I'm really trying to prevent, is my kids having these same habits that we do, where the stuff consumes them, and they do. Their rooms are atrocious, as you can attest to. But like, what is going on with us that we feel the need to just consume and buy? And it's like, is it putting a Band-Aid on something?
Yeah. So one thing that I see now is that we all have a phone. We all have the ability to look at a screen. And I feel like we're being influenced a lot nowadays versus, a few years back where we didn't have that connection. But it's like now you're connected to an influencer in some way. You share similarities and you're like, oh, well, because she has it, I want it. But do I really need it? And it is so fast. Like it's mind blowing how you can order something and like you feel that type of connection with someone. So one thing that I recommend, which I did, go me, was I started to just like unfollow accounts, on social media. And this helped me mentally. Like if you realize how many accounts you have followed throughout the years, ever since Instagram first started or Facebook first started.
For sure.
And you kind of look back and some of these accounts either stopped posting or they just kind of like got hacked or anything. Just take some time, and like if you're waiting at the nail salon or if you're out in waiting in at an appointment, go to your followers and just kind of like start unfollowing things that are accounts that are kind of just always posting like these are the top things you need from Amazon or
right. So that's a gentle form of manipulation. Sometimes not so gentle, but it is a form of manipulation where it's influencing you, but it changes your thought process, and that is absolutely a way to kind of get rid of the things that are not encouraging you to be the best version of yourself, and clutter is not the best version of yourself.
Plus, if you look at like how much we've spent on the clutter, like financially, if we had not bought these 60,000 random items that we just simply don't need, how much money could we have saved that we could do something more meaningful with?
Of course. I mean, I think, and that's how I see that it's hard for people to let go of things, because they're like, oh, well, I spent $50 on that. And I'm like, yeah, you spent it already. Like, it doesn't, like, if you bring it to Goodwill, like, it's gone. Like, you can resell it, but it's not going to be $50,
Right.
And people still hold the value of like what it once was, but it's not $50 anymore. It's probably like $15.
Yeah. It's like the opposite of inflation.
Yes, correct. And not only is it a bad thing, I feel like when people are like, oh my gosh, I have to let go of all of this. If you think about it, there's people that need exactly what you're going to let go of. And when I'm telling you, the first time I decluttered and I gave away my clothes that let's be honest, I gained weight, like I had to let it go. And I'm like, I'm getting older, my body is changing. And you go and bring that bag to somebody who truly needs it, who's going to use it. Like, you're like, oh my gosh, like I saw her at the store and she was wearing the shirt that I gave her. Like that brought me so much joy. And now I'm like, no, I want to give all my clothes away for free, And it starts with just doing the first step, So I think it's very important not to just think of it like, oh, well, like I'm letting it go, but just realizing that this is going to also be of help to somebody, you never know.
Right.
And I think it's just doing the first step and then seeing that change. And then eventually that little step of decluttering, that one pantry, that one closet, or your shoes, for example, will make a big difference. And it will just lead you to make healthier options because you have the time now to look at what you have and be of service to your family, to yourself, mentally too.
I see this happen a lot in kitchens. People are purchasing food. Let's say they go on a particular diet or a different way of eating. They purchase specific things for that way of eating and then they don't use it anymore. They kind of fall off of the bandwagon of whatever that is and they're not using that anymore, but it's taken up space in their kitchen. And that happens for some people often, over and over and over. So that's whenever you start to kind of go through and clean out the clutter of the pantry, clean out the clutter of the refrigerator, and you get the things out that really are not being used, and it opens up space for you to be able to see what's there, see what you really need, and use the things that are available to you to create improved meals, but in the kitchen, but also with kitchen appliances, it happens often that people there's always a cool, fun gadget or kitchen something, and it starts to just clutter things up. And then in the kitchen space, it feels very overwhelming. So for some people, it doesn't take much to overwhelm them in a kitchen. For a lot of people, so the more clutter and kitchen appliances and kitchen gadgets and foods that you have that are not being used, the more likely you are to feel overwhelmed in the kitchen just to be able to create a simple meal for yourself.
Most people probably have a ton of expired stuff in their pantry.
Very true.
Yes.
I went for the snow day. Let me tell you, it's like the world paused and I was like, oh gosh, I could do whatever I want now. And purging and decluttering was what I was doing while everybody was just like inside. Don't get me wrong, I did some time in art here and there, but it made such a difference because when I started decluttering, I felt better about my space. So I was like, now that I decluttered my kitchen, like getting rid of like plastics or, the nonstick pans and everything. I was like, well, I want to make sure that like I'm feeding my boys and myself the correct nutritional foods as well. And they were like able to be a part of that because I'm explaining to them like we're changing a few things. And now because of like my clean space, I have like a little snack cabinet for them where I have like the chopsticks and like the little crackers, like the Mary's crackers and things like that, where not like we don't like, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I don't even buy Oreos anymore. And I was an Oreo fanatic. Like I was that Oreo girl. Like I had to have it. Like, it was my little treat. Like,
tell you my Oreo story. Almond milk. Yeah, I grew up eating Oreos. I would soak them in a bowl of milk and eat it like cereal. That's how I grew up. So when I got to college, my parents every year, because I went away to college, I didn't live with my parents, every year for whatever the occasion was. So Valentine's Day, they would send me Oreos with red stuffing. For Easter, they would send me Oreos with pink stuffing. I mean, for every occasion, Oreo has their I was the Oreo lady. I finally had to tell them, I cannot accept any more Oreos. I appreciate it. We've broken up, and not just broken up, we've divorced. And so I can no longer, as a dietetic student, eat Oreos. So we had to have that hard conversation. But yeah, I lived on Oreos for a long time.
Explaining to them like little by little, like we don't have Oreos, but we do have like, the little, I forgot what it's called, but those little crackers with like the peanut or almond filling, almond butter filling. And it's so easy for them just to like, I want a snack. And I'm like, sometimes they tell me, like my youngest, but my oldest, he already knows, like after school, if he wants a snack, it's like right there.
Yeah.
He's not like, Mom, where's the snack? And I'm like over here like, oh my gosh, losing it. But it starts like that. If you are able to eliminate little by little, then it gives you the opportunity to not only focus on what needs attention, but access for your children if you have any kids at home or any family members. And it's little impacts along the way. And honestly, like my son's friends come over and they're like, where are the Oreos at? And I'm like, we don't have that. And now we have blueberries or we'll have strawberries.
Yeah.
And I'm not lying to you, like the kid, like his friend will come over and be like, can I have your organic blueberries? And I'm like, yes, yes, you can have them, and I feel better because not only is like to him, it might not mean anything, but to me, I feel better because I'm like, he's eating nutritional snacks and it's easy for them to access it. Yeah. So to me, it just brightens up my day, and I know that they're eating healthy, and they might not eat healthy every single day or when my son is at his dad's house, but I know here, like he's getting all those core fruits and vegetables. So it's very important just to start.
Having like a organized, accessible pantry and fridge for your kids. As an adult, and my whole life, I've struggled with anxiety and depression. And when I was in the thick of it, oh my God, I lived in a pigsty. Like it truly manifested in how I lived and took care of my house. And having a clean, organized, calm environment has truly been one of the most therapeutic things for my mental health. And I know for my kids too, whenever things are organized, we all are just happy and calmer and life is just better when things are clean.
Yeah, I think that the visual cues of clutter translate into like brain clutter. Like I think of your brain as having a filing cabinet sort of, where it's like files of I'm sure that this is not how it works, but files of thoughts and files of visualizations and things like that, where if what you are seeing through your eyeballs is clutter everywhere, whether like right now my home office needs to be tidied up a bit. And whenever I go in there, my immediate reaction is to like take a step back, which is why I haven't cleaned it, because it feels overwhelming. It feels just like it will take me literally 10 minutes to clean it. It's not very big. The initial reaction is get out of here, because I don't want to see it, because then it makes me feel over anxious. Like there's too much to do when literally I know it will take less than 10 minutes to clean it.
It's like your cortisol raises.
Yes.
And just start panicking, really. I just get very anxious whenever it's a mess.
Yeah.
When I'm done cleaning it. I rage clean a lot.
Oh, yeah. You start and then you're like, I'm tired. And you're like sitting in the piles of everything that you need to still go through.
That's when body doubling does come in handy.
Yes.
So many times when I need to clean out my closet, I've called Ruby. I'm like, can you just sit on the bed? And of course, you always help me. But like, I just need someone in the room to help keep me motivated and someone to visit with me. And
let me tell you, we will get rid of it. I'm like, I'll ask like again. 5 times. I'm like, so this purse that you have in this bucket, this looks like back from the 2000s and the 99s. But it's important to have someone. That's why I said, if you have a friend, tell them you're decluttering, invite them over, have a cup of coffee with them. And they're like, okay, it is time. Let's purge.
Yeah. And it makes it fun versus like this horrible experience that you're building up in your head.
Yeah.
And when they come over, like then you go to their house and just have like this time of like, okay, we're doing this together. And you do not know how much of a big difference just having someone. And let's say they can't come over, FaceTime them while they're washing the dishes, you're decluttering. And now y'all are both doing something and that y'all feel better after. And that's why I always share with people, like one thing whenever they're very scared of decluttering. I don't know why. Because once you do it, you're just like, you want to tell everybody, like I'm coming over, I'm going to help you declutter. But one thing that I give an example visually is when you go on vacation and you're staying at your Airbnb or you're staying at a hotel, you walk into the space, right? And everything has its own place.
Right.
And you know where to put your clothes, you know where your shoes are going to go, because you don't have like piles of papers and piles of Legos or the Play-Doh, whatever it is, right? Just waiting for you. It's all like just put away.
Yeah.
And you have only what you need when you're going to stay there. Now, when you come home, you're like, maybe I should go through my makeup drawer, you know? So that's why it's all connected to the way that your space is. It's how your mind is going to react and how emotionally, whenever you have a clean space and your children, you know, are home after school, how are you going to react to them when they're like, Mom?
It's so true. It's so true. If the space is clean, your reaction, I mean, it's kind of hard to think about this, that your reaction and how you would respond to a child or even a spouse who has nothing to do really with the clutter, but how you respond to them is going to be different if you feel overwhelmed and stressed and anxious because of the clutter that you see.
Yeah.
It's
a hard reality to face yourself, because I'm guilty of it too. I get like snippy with everybody around me if it's messy, and that's not a good feeling.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a little cabin in the woods up north, and we go during the summer, and we have minimal belongings there, you know, and what we pack in a suitcase is what we have for the few weeks that we're there. When I tell you, I am my best self in the middle of the woods with a couple outfits, and we have minimal kitchen stuff, minimal appliances, and I'm just so happy.
Yeah,
you know?
just make it work.
Yeah, and at the end of every summer, I come back. I'm like, I don't need anything that I have, and then I get back into the same old habits.
You're doing all the projects you've always wanted to. You're painting. You're like
bird
being
watching.
one with nature. So that's why I do have some tips.
Okay.
One thing, like I was stating, is sharing someone the process, what you're doing. You know, it's always important to just get it out there, you know, just have that support in the background. Also, just taking just a few minutes out of your day to have a system. So you've already decluttered. Everything has a space. Every morning, just have 5 to 7 minutes of like, okay, the kids went to school. They kind of probably forgot this, or they may misplace that. Put a timer on your watch, or hey Siri, set a timer for 5 minutes. And in those 5 minutes, right before you're about to leave, put the shoes where they go. Put the cup in the sink, rinse it out quick.
I think, when you set a timer, I do this, like if I'm decluttering a drawer, I'll set a timer for say like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. The amount that you can get done in that period of time, knowing that there's going to be an end to it, you know, there's a start and there's an end. And when that timer goes off, then your space better, like you got to have it kind of cleaned up and ready to go.
Wait, that's really the big thing for me, knowing that there's an end to it. Because when I clean, kind of like I think we've talked about before, I don't clean often, because when I do, it's until I go to sleep, like 8 hour, I'm organizing, I'm cleaning every inch of everything. And so that's why it ends up being cluttered, and I got my doom piles everywhere. But that would help a lot. If I'm like, okay, no, you're stopping.
I do that
after
every morning too.
So I used to be the kind of person that whenever I cleaned my house, I cleaned like everything, all the dusting, all the vacuuming, mopping. And I realized that it was an all-day affair, and it was a miserable day. And so then I've switched the script a little bit so that it's timed. So I know that I've got like 30 minutes, knock out whatever I can do in this 30-minute time frame, and then move on and be done with it.
How do you move on? How do you, but like if you don't finish.
Well, so in,
you know what I'm saying? Like, you're like, oh, but I got to clean that one more thing.
Then if you want to clean that one more thing, you can, but
if I would get out the door.
Yeah, I would set a time frame, because when you set a time, then it's kind of the reminder that this show has shut down. Yeah. And it's time to move on to the next show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like time blocking, like scheduling. Like,
right.
Truly, if you have a couple hours, I still, like if I have all day to clean, I'll still set the timers. Like I'm going to see what I can get done in 10 minutes. And then at the end of that, I'll reassess. Like, okay, I can do 10 more minutes or move on with my life. It's just got to be. But the timers are helpful.
I think just staying aware of the time is my problem. Just time blindness of like, oh, it's been 4 hours.
Yeah, that's like
not good.
super ADD. Like That's
Yeah.
And so having a timer, setting the timer, but then also finding a place for what it is you have. If you have forks in one drawer and then you have some plastic forks in another drawer, you know, for just the parties or anything, kind of put it where it goes. Put the forks with the forks, you know, don't have it spread out and then this goes here, that goes there. And like, then your children are like, I don't know where anything is. So have a place for the things that you have, letting go of that. But also communicating with your spouse, communicating with your children. So to you might know where things go. Maybe you need labels. Maybe you just need to tell them, hey, this is where the spoons are at, you guys, you know, because we get into like this decluttering stage and then we know where it goes, but they might not know.
Right. And we expect everyone else to know whenever we know.
Correct.
Yeah.
And just those tips of starting, communicating, setting a timer, that right there will start off your day. So when you come back home from work, from a meeting, from your appointments, you're like, okay, I can breathe, you know?
Yes.
And that is going to be a reflection of what you will pour into your family, what you will pour into your children, what you will give to yourself. Because you might come home early, you know, after work and you're like, okay, my space is clean. Now I can actually, you know, go walk outside for 5 minutes or getting that 5-minute like reading time. You never know, or making yourself a smoothie. And it's little things like that that will make the big impact with your mental health emotionally as well.
So decluttering truly is an act of self-care. So we think of self-care as being like the fancy things, but decluttering and taking the time and the initiative to clean a space or declutter a space is an act of caring for your future self.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like I've had to mindset shift a little bit. Instead of doing this because I have to and it's a chore, it's like I'm being kinder to future Jackie. Tomorrow I won't have to deal with this, or even later today, just doing small things to make my life easier, which is, I think, the mindset that you have to have for all things health and wellness. You know, we're not exercising because we need to change. It's just because you love yourself and you want to take care of yourself.
Right.
What tips would you tell someone, or how would you guide someone who's completely overwhelmed at the beginning stages of this? Their life's a mess. How would you kind of guide someone?
I would start off small. For example, I would let them know like, okay, where's something that you constantly visually see? It could be your makeup counter. It could be underneath the sink where you have all those products and you continue to buy more products because you can't find the products, and then you go to Marshall's and you buy 5 more products. So it's important that you start where you normally see, like, what counter spaces do you use more often? You know, your bathroom, you can start in your closet. And like I say, you don't want to do a full room. You know, some people might have the time, but you want to take everything out, start slow. You want to have at least 3 to 4 boxes. Trash, things you're going to keep, things you're going to donate, and maybe another box for, well, this I want to keep, but it goes in a different room. Put on a favorite radio station or call your friend. Hey, what are you doing? Okay, I need you to help me because I'm decluttering.
Or a podcast.
A podcast.
Living vividly.
Correct. A podcast, because I've noticed that like I have to be hearing something. Like if I put something on the TV and I walk away, and if I can't hear it, then like my mind starts to go somewhere else. So I've noticed that I have to hear it directly.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm a music girl. I like to put on some music, depending on if I'm rage cleaning or if I'm like just chilling out. Will depend on the kind of music that I put on. But yeah, I like to do the music.
I've been listening to like steel drum music, like the Jamaican.
Ooh, nice.
I know. It's just been putting me in like a joyful kind of like I'm in Hawaii kind of vibe, but not really. And the only reason I started listening to steel drum is because Jackie has a steel drum.
Oh, nice.
Correction, my daughter has a steel drum.
I was like, wait, hold on. We have a steel drum.
I am not a steel
We need
drum.
to take it out.
I'm secretly a Jamaican musician.
Yes.
No, my daughter has like every musical instrument.
Yes.
That's awesome.
And it's something that you want to automatically, okay, set yourself up, have your little boxes. It could be bags, like whole food bags. It could be plastic. You just want to have the containers.
Yeah.
And you sit there, you have your music on, you're talking to somebody, and you begin. Don't worry about the other room. Don't worry about your closet. Don't worry about the cleaning of the toilet or the bathroom. We're going to get to that. But right now we're focusing on one area. And that's why I always say start small.
Yeah.
Once you have underneath the sink, just an example, done, then you visually see all your cleaning supplies, because usually people tend to have their cleaning supplies by the sink because it's more accessible.
Right.
It gives you the opportunity, like, okay, I'm in the kitchen. This is my multi-purpose. This is my sponges. So then whenever it's time to clean, we all know. We all have a system of where everything is at. And then from there, you can start in the pantry. You can start with letting go of those Mardi Gras cups that you've been holding on to for many, many years and you don't use them and they're at the top. Or all those wine glasses that is just you and your husband maybe, but you have like 50 of them in case somebody, like a whole army comes, you know, like no one's gonna come.
This is like a personal attack on Jackie, but I have a funny story about that. Okay, so whenever Sean and I got married, I had a whole set. I had like 12 red wine, 12 white wine, 12 champagne, and plus the miscellaneous. And he would always say that, like, are we having a banquet? Like, what is happening? And funny, I don't even drink wine anymore. But through the years, I would always tell him, like, it's gonna be fine. You know, maybe we'll have a party.
Wait, please tell me you started collecting more wine glasses.
Every time I would drink wine for the last 7 years, I break a wine glass.
I was going to say,
every
yes.
single time.
The reason that you have 50 wine glasses,
Yeah.
I'm 100% sure of it, is because it's going to break. So my other friend, Jackie, calls wine glasses. She's like, I'm drinking with high heels because they're like so big. There's no chance
so
it's not going to break.
Yeah, I've broken so many wine glasses. So now I'm like down to 50%.
Yes, I don't know what it is about like glass cups, but I'm the same way too. Now, I do not own wine glasses. I don't think I ever will, but I'm just saying.
Stay strong.
Yes, yes. I just imply that people start with what they have a lot of.
Right.
And sometimes if you need to hide it, like put in a box, you never know if those family, but like, let's be honest, when was the last time like you had friends over or family over and you used them? You know,
Pre-COVID.
All that.
maybe once a month. I mean, like you have friends over, but y'all aren't drinking wine, you know, so it's letting go of the visual stuff. And that's why we must start small and then you move on to the next one, because then you'll get that like that satisfaction of like, I finally did it. And you're like, okay, let's do it again.
So once you get that satisfaction of I finally did it, it just kind of boosts your confidence level a little bit that you're capable of doing it.
Correct.
And that if you did the wine cabinet, then also you can do the utensil drawer or the bathroom closet or something. So you kind of build your confidence. So inch by inch, that's my philosophy. Little bits at a time, it helps you to improve your confidence too.
What were the 3 boxes again?
So you want boxes to trash. So this is anything that is expired. Go through your makeup, go through your spice drawer. We all have something that's been just thrown in the back, or we forget about it, or we have like double of. Yeah. Maybe it's broken. Maybe it doesn't work like it used to. Maybe you got a different color. Just throw it away. Or you can donate it to Salvation Army, to Goodwill, to a friend. Anything like that. You want that donation box. You also want another box to, it's going to be your other room box. So this is something that probably goes in your children's room, but they accidentally placed it in the cabinet, like just because they wanted to.
So not like when you said other room box, I have attic boxes of like, here are all my sports shirts from the past, 20 years of doing sports. Here are all my toys that I never wanted to throw away from when I was a kid. Is that okay?
Yeah. So
depends on how much space you have there, Dustin.
It's just me. So I have like an attic, a full attic.
Correct. So everyone is going to be different because we might not have all of the, t-shirts, sports, trophies, things like that. But what I mean by like another room box is, for example, like this doesn't belong here. This belongs in the kitchen, or this belongs in my son's room, or this belongs in the living room. It has a place, but this is not the place.
Right.
And that's the other box that you want to have. So
I really like
just making sure that is there for you to have. And why do I say that? I'm going to tell you why. Because when you have that piece of, let's say you're going through the kitchen cabinet and you find your blush, like, what is my blush doing here? Or you find slime and you go ahead and you bring the slime to your daughter's room and you see all that needs to be done in there, making the bed, putting the toys up.
Distraction.
And what happens when you're distracted? You stay in that room and you do 5-7 minutes. I'm just going to pick this up really quick. And then before you know it, you're here, you're there, and you forget all about what you were doing over here. So that's why it's important. Set up that timer or call that friend, have those boxes so you sit there and you only stay there. You don't leave
that space.
Correct. Yeah. Prepare yourself so when it's time to start, you can finish and you're not going to every other room. So that's what I mean by your other room box.
Yeah, I'm really guilty about that, like jumping from room to project. And I have gotten 20% of all the cleaning done in every room because I've just tried to do too much in one.
And nothing feels like it's finished.
Yeah.
Like you didn't ever finish or complete something. So there's something about the completion of a project, an event, that getting to the finish line of it feels really good.
And that's why the boxes are a staple when you're decluttering.
Yes.
You want to have that near and close by, because you don't want to start something else. And then before you know it, you're going to have piles everywhere.
Yeah.
And projects everywhere. And before you know it, your kids are going to be home. They're going to be like, Mom, what's for lunch? Or dinner? Where's my snack? And you're like, I'm not done yet. You know? So
that's how it ends up being like a 4-hour cleaning the bathroom closet job, because you've just been distracted too many times.
I think that's a common theme with everything that we're trying to accomplish. It's start small, baby steps, finish, like get one goal attained. Don't try to do it all. Don't try to, even with your diet, don't try to overhaul everything all at once. Just focus on the small things. That feeling of accomplishment will help keep you motivated to move on to the next thing. And it's really going to shift your life. For anybody who wants to follow you, because you do give some good tips, how can anyone get in touch with you?
So on Instagram, I'm an Instagram girly, @_Ruby cleaning _ and I like to just share anything, honestly, like my everyday behind the scenes. I like to encourage. You will I never understood how I can just post like a picture of me just cleaning my stovetop and someone be like, thank you for like posting this because you encouraged me to like finally clean my appliances, you know?
So that's the influence. That's the positive influence.
She's such an influencer.
And I'm like, wow, I just cleaned my stovetop. And it's awesome where I'm like, well, I'm glad I didn't like post something and then buy something that they didn't need, you know? So it's awesome to have like those positive, impactful people. And Instagram is where I like to share all my tips, tricks, things that, you know, I kind of also struggle with. We're just human, you know, and it's important to have that relationship of like, you know, I'm going through the same thing too. Like I'm decluttering too with you. I'm purging with you too, you know.
So building community and that support is such an important part.
Yeah, Ruby's so uplifting. Like every time, obviously I see you in real life all the time, but also online, it's just such a joyful presence. And I think that's so important, especially today.
Yes. A part of that was letting go of a lot of things that no longer served me in my home, in my life. And it brings such a positive impact because you want to help others as well too. You know, you want to share what it can do for your life. It's like the less I have, the more happy I am.
Yes.
You know, like the less of clutter, the less emotional attachment, you know, you have towards things, it's like you have time to do the things that you love.
Yeah.
And that brings out the best in you. Like that truly just like, well, I have time to go and see what Jackie's doing because I don't have to clean, you know, or declutter everything. And it just is, it's nice to have that community and people like reaching out to you and saying, thank you for sharing this.
Yeah.
You know, or like, I'm glad I'm not the only one that's struggling with all of this clothes or this clutter. And then just supporting like other moms, other business owners in everyday life. Because we all are going through different things of, it could be emotionally, mentally, in our homes. And I think that's why it's very important to let go of things, of anything in our home or what we're going through. So Instagram definitely is where you can find me if you have any questions as well too.
So before we let you go, we have to ask you one final question. What does living vividly mean to you?
To be honest, when you asked me that question, the first thing that came to mind was just pouring into other people. I think it's very important that we realize that we can be such a big impact to people's life and every day. There's so much craziness and chaos in this world, and you can be the light in someone's day with a smile, with a hug, with a text. Hey, I was just thinking about you. Like, how are you doing? And to me, that has brought the most joy in my life, because we all are so good with like hiding things that we don't realize that we're, like, I keep saying this, but we're only human. You know, we're only human, and we all go through things in our life. And so it just being the light in every day, not just when you feel like it, but just remembering that everyone is important. Like, we all have the ability to just bring a little bit of light into everyone's world. And I think that's very important, because it's not about, you know, us all the time. It's about like, how can I make an impact in someone else's life? And so to me, living vividly, like, I've noticed, and I know I'm bringing back to the decluttering thing, but little by little, it's like letting go of what no longer serves you. You're able to serve other people.
Yeah.
When you take away and eliminate anything, stress, friends, conversations that are no longer pouring out positive impacts. You know, if someone's gossiping about somebody, like, just like steer the conversation another way. Be like, anyway, so how have you been? But I think I'm going like all over the place in a positive way though. But I think vividly like that is being the light. I think that's very important.
And as you shine someone else's light or shine the light on someone else, then it also kind of illuminates you a bit too.
Yes, you just feel so much better. Yeah. Like, ever since I've done little things like that, it has helped me in my whole like life. I want to eat better. I want to be better. I want to just be better for my kids. And you just, it's like no one can stop you. You just are wanting to pour that into other people, and people start to notice it. Yeah. So absolutely. I think that's very important.